Welcome everyone to yet awesome series, Women in Stability in Times of Instability, with today's my very special guest, which is Lorlett Hudson, all the way joining us from London. But I must also say that her roots trace her back to Jamaica. So I am not too sure how to introduce her from Jamaica or from London, but yes, she is in between London and Jamaica. So a very, very warm welcome to you, Lorlette, to my show.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
Yes, before I start today's conversation, I would like to introduce Lorlette. I just don't know from where to start and from where to stop because here is a mentor who, in spite of having modern techniques to her skills, she traces herself back to the enhancement and upliftment of the Caribbean culture, and she is from London, FRSA, and the founder and CEO of One Hand Can't Clap Limited. And we are going to hear all about what her organization, One Hand Can't Clap Limited, is all about. And to add to Lorlette, she's an international speaker and multi award winning entrepreneur and inventor. She works at ground level with children from schools and universities. And at the same time, she works to enhance the productivity, with executive level entrepreneurs and investors. And she is also the founder of the very critically acclaimed, I don't know how to put it, but it's called Things Mama Used to Say, which is a 52 card box set of Jamaican Caribbean proverbs to facilitate change management, diversity, inclusion, and develop high performance rate. How excited I am to know about what Mama used to say, because in India too, we have a lot of Dadi Ma ki kahaniya. But yes, to know something about the same ethics coming from a different culture is something which I'm very, very intrigued about today to get into a conversation. And just the way Steve Jobs had. Steve Jobs had Bill Campbell as a mentor, and Mark Zuckerberg had Steve Jobs as a mentor. Bill Gates had Warren Buffett. So I think you're never too successful, to have a mentor, because it is a mentor who takes you out of that comfort zone. It is a mentor who guides you how to handle criticism. And the most important part is it is a personal investment of the mentor in your success. So, yes, today I have such a mentor, an internationally acclaimed, award winning mentor with us who has stuck to her roots. At the same time, she is working crazily with the community to enrich them with her skill and knowledge. So yes, Lorlette, I am very thrilled to have you in conversation. And can you guide us about you know uh, what your organization One Hand Can't Clap is all about?
People, 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 and relationships, because it's about understanding that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes more than one person. No one successful person, no one individual ever succeed by themselves. We all need support. Even when they say, this one man person or one woman person, there's always somebody behind who's supporting community and enabling people to get to the next level. So when you think of One Hand Can't Clap, you think of community, you think of people, you think of partnership, you think of collaboration. Everything is about people, how you get support and how you move from where you are to where you need to get to.
Awesome. And so, why did you choose the name One Hand Can't Clap? It's because in India too, we have a proverb which says, "Ek haath se tali nahi baj sakti," which means you can't clap with just one hand. You need two to make that tango. So, yes,
Mhm.
would you like to share a little more about your organization? What is your reach? What is your whole idea behind it? What are the kind of mentorship or the kind of events you do under this banner?
Well, for a start, I look around and I see that there were many individuals, including young people in school, that wasn't reaching their potentials. They wasn't really getting to where they need to get to. And so I decided to offer the support as an intervention to enable young people to understand how the world works and the importance of education. So I did a series of breakfast clubs, leadership breakfast clubs in schools to enable young people to understand the whole thing around responsibility and the importance of education, and also recognize the value of their peers, because sometimes they don't know how to tap into each other. So, I get them to set up study groups so they actually support each other in that at that level. And then I shift from working with young people in 2006 because there was a lot of people being made redundant and approaching the crisis, as well what was happening, the financial crisis. A lot of people were losing their jobs. Of course, again, they was in transition, but wasn't too clear about what to do next, where to go next. And I see a huge gap in the market and provide a solution for that. And that's what I've been doing since 2006. In terms of the box of cards, for me, it's something that my grandmother always talked about, our wisdom, and also developing our leadership mindset. But we didn't know that it was leadership she was actually teaching us. The wisdom is about how we live our lives, how we how we navigate ourselves in the world, how we show up in the world, but not really understanding until I got older and I started to understand the wisdom of the Proverbs and why they are such a great manifestation of our culture. It is so powerful. The words enable you to listen, get you connected. Like when I see another individual, evening workshops, everyone has a story. Once they get connected to their story, it's very, very universal, not just the Caribbean, but it's very universal to understand the power of our stories and how we share them. And that whole craft is disappearing. We're not tapping into our inner wisdom to guide us to get to where we need to get to. We're too busy with Netflix and all the things that is a major distraction, but not really looking at the inner wisdom. Everything that comes directly from you. It's not outside, it's inside of you. We all got it. And understanding that. And this is what this wisdom is about, is enabling you to have that key intuition to actually go and do what you need to do. That's why the leadership program is called What Next? Because you're always at the juncture for what next? Where do I go next? What am I going to do next? Who do I need to speak to next? What actions do I need to take next? So it's that kind of mindset that I develop the people I coach with, to always understand there is always a next. So you reach here, it's no point you stopping here, you're going to the next level and understanding that.
That's awesome. What's next? Because that is something that always haunts us, actually, because we want to be better than our previous next. And we are really looking forward to the next, which is coming on to us. So, Lorlette, as a mentor, if I have to ask you, productivity, this is a main word that mentors are hooked on, because at the end of the day, what they want from their students and the people who are attending the workshops is that they increase their productivity, whether they are children, whether there are executives. So as a mentor, if I have to ask you, what is productivity in a personal front and what is productivity in a professional front?
Great question. Productivity is nothing more than knowing exactly where you're going. What is it you want to create? What's your priority? What's important? And understanding that and measure it. You always have to have a measure. So what is it you want to create? So when people come to me to maximize their productivity, it's mastering the art of something. So whether it's your communication, whether it's your organization, whatever it is that you need to perform in that arena to make sure. Forget about what you're not good at. Focus on one thing that you really love doing and master it. You know, become the Beethoven. You know, just basically master that one thing and stick with it until. It's just like with me, with being productive. I have one box of cards, 16 years, and all I do is innovate and push it in all different ways to enable people to understand that how many ways can you cook a potato? You know, how many ways can you cook a potato? And understanding that whole innovative. So you only need one thing and work on that one thing and become great at it, chip away at it, chip away at it. The thing is, most people never become master at anything. They switch from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and never become a master of anything. I say become known for one thing and one thing and one thing only. So that's productivity for me.
That's really, really very beautifully crafted that you say that we need to stick and analyze and realize what is that we want and then develop that, because most of the time we probably get under the intimidation of what others are doing, and we think maybe we can try our hand at it, but we realize that's not for us, and then we are anyway somewhere startled in between all, and we don't know where our actual calling lies. So it's very important to understand that productivity is actually equivalent to where your calling is. Only then probably you can succeed. That's beautiful way to explain what productivity is, Lorlette. And if I have to ask you that, you always whenever you spoke to me the last time also, you told me that you really stress on team building, because team building is something which enhances the productivity. So how does one do the team building now in COVID times, because things are so different and so changed, but yet we do need the marks to be up and about. So how do we handle team building? And why do you think team building is so important?
It's important because no individual can actually create anything by themselves. If you look at, say, for example, the 4 components to developing a business, I always say, is the 4 components. First and foremost, you have to know your product. You have to know how to market it. You have to know how to sell it. And you also need to know the operation aspects of it. So imagine that you have got a product, so you're going to need another 3 people. So you're the person who invent the product. Then you're going to have to find somebody knowing how to market it. Then you have to know somebody who's going to convert that marketing into sales. And then when you do sell it, how are you going to organize that in terms of the operations, understanding that. So when I talk about team, always find people who are better at what they are good at in comparison to you. So the person who have the product not necessarily know how to market it, how to sell it, or even how to organize it, because you're the one who's developing the product and the content, whatever that might be, and you're really not interested in anything else. So in order to be effective, you're going to need other people. It's impossible. When you first started out, yes, I mean, you try all those things by yourself because you have to, because when you first started, not many people understand what it is. So you got to be the one who has to articulate to somebody who's going to market it. And sometimes, even though you might create the product, it doesn't necessarily mean you know how to articulate it. So again, there's so many skills that develop in all the aspects of that. It's understanding that you don't have all the answers. You need support to take it to its next level.
True. Yeah, and coming to the thought that when I was in conversation with you the other day, you said that 6 months of your time you are in London and the other 6 months you're in Jamaica, and how you are probably one of the first in your community to buy this beautiful Jamaican home, and which you open to tourists, and they come over and they sit with you and they talk about the Caribbean culture. They have tea. Oh my, I can actually picturize it. And yes, and I'm so, so proud of you. So, and you basically control all your movements in London from Jamaica, because most of your mentorship programs are online and you manage it from there. But you do it simultaneously managing the skills and the modernism of a mentor, yet being in Jamaica, upholding your roots and sharing it with people around. How important is it for you to go back to your community? How important it is for anybody to not forget the roots from where we come.
I think it's important to understand your culture. I think it's important to understand the past, what went on before, to enable you to go forward. I mean, like being the first. I bought this house, it's 250 years old. I am the first Black person to have bought the property. So that in itself sends a message to the people in my community that anything is possible. At one time, somebody like myself would never be seen in that environment. So it's doing things that other people have never had the experience, giving them access to something that they never had before, and to see what's possible. It's important to know, what did our parents did before us? What did our grandparents did? What did they have to do? If you look at what's happening in America right now, we have to go back to the past to understand what is actually going on. And even though how many years behind, this racism is still going on today. And it kind of got you thinking, what is happening to society?
True.
We as individuals have to look at what is it we can physically do to transform the quality of life of people, to transform people thinking,
True.
to look at our mindset. Because, it's been going on for centuries and it continues to today. So it's not like it's something new, but you have to really go back into the past to understand the future. That's why the values that's been handed down throughout the generation is so important.
It is so, so beautifully said by you that in order to move towards the future, we have to go back to the past. And kudos to you that, you went ahead and you bought this 250-year-old home, and you talk about your culture and you interact with people. And so how do the locals take it? Like, what is the response from your community about you having attained such an honor?
Well, there's a level of curiosity. There's a level of, oh, what's this all about? And, when you are the first in everything, like, for some individuals, they're the first who've gone to university. They're the first who've done anything, so it's always great when you are the first, not even knowing the impact. But the response you get from people, that's why feedback is so powerful, because not until you've done something, you don't know. You really don't know what the impact's going to be until you've done it. And then you see that other people is actually saying, well, I could do that too. Because when you're going through it, when you're doing it, you're not really thinking about what the impact's going to be. It's only after you've actually done it and people are giving it feedback, as I said, you realize, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. So yeah, there's been a huge impact in terms of how people see themselves.
And if I have to reframe the question about your time in London, being a Jamaican woman, into the mentorship leadership program, initiating and curating these events, what is the kind of response that you get from the people in London? Because again, do you think it is tough for a Black woman to hold that power in a place like a place which is all white?
I haven't really thought about that, right? For me, it's really being clear. This is my journey. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm about. I don't stop to think whether, it's Black or white or power or being a woman. I just see this is what I want to do. And then I just cut all the things out the way, take all the obstacles out the way. I'm so focused. So even there's obstacles, yeah, of course, there is obstacles, but I don't stop to think about whether this is Black or white or pink. I am just thinking, this is what I want to do. This is what I see missing. This is the actions I'm going to take. Because the time I'm going to be sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I'm a woman, I'm Black, that's taking me away from my mission. So no, I don't stop to think about what's in the way. I just climb over it.
That's so, so awesome. And in order to uplift your Caribbean culture, you also organize these annual events. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, out of me creating the cards and promoting them, what happened was, people was having conversation with me about the stories and how it used to be. And I thought, yeah, what would it be like then to have a live event which enables people to come and connect an evening, hearing our stories, sharing our stories, and connect and have, some Caribbean soup in the process as well. And then people get the connection and the community and being able to have conversations around how it used to be, the past, which is again, taking them into the future. So they'll bring their children along and they'll hear people share the story of how it used to be, what the experience, especially second generation Caribbean people who came here very young. They're now telling their story of what it's been like being brought up in England as well. So having that UK and Caribbean connection is really powerful when people share about it and be able to compare the differences.
Awesome. And before I have to ask you one or two questions more about the mentorship programs you're in, is it possible for us to see the awesome, critically acclaimed, what Mama used to say? Oh yes, things Mama used to say.
Things Mama used to say. So what it is, it's they're flashcards.
Okay.
So on one side, you've got, okay, so that's the Jamaican patois. And there's the standard English.
Okay.
And you said, you can't take medicine for somebody else. It's impossible to take medicine for somebody else. You can't take medicine for somebody else, right? So each individual have to take responsibility for themselves. So imagine your mom saying to you, you can't take medicine for someone else. It's impossible. Whether it's your child, whether it's your uncle, no matter who it is, you see that person in pain, going on through, you can only support. You can only be there. That person have to walk their own journey. They have to do what they have to do in that sense. And it is, when you really think about it, it is so powerful a message that you cannot be responsible for anyone, regardless of what it is going on. They have to go through their own journey. And sometimes we try to fix other people, trying to put structures in place, try to tell them what to do. But they have to discover for themselves what is it they need to discover in order to get themselves to the next level. So as a mentor, what I do, I will sit and I will share my experience and I will give advice, up to a point sometimes, but that individual have to see what's possible for themselves and take the necessary action. I could talk till the cows come home, but they have to want it. They have to be responsible for themselves and do the things that are going to work for them.
That is commendable. And Lorlette, if I ask you to read one more saying, what grandma used to say, because I'm totally tempted with it now.
Okay, bear with me. Okay, sometimes you have to walk around the barricades, right? Sometimes you have to walk around the barricade. Sometimes you have to walk around the barricades, right? Which means be creative in your thinking. You have to find another way. You have to be innovative. So when you get stuck, you have to find another way. You got to be creative. So sometimes you have to walk around those barricades. Those barricades are put in place to stop you. So my grandmother would say, you climb over it, you climb under it, you climb sideways, you find a way in order to. All great skills you need if you're going to thrive and survive in this country or in this world for that matter, the way it's going at the minute. When you think of what's going on, you have to be creative. I mean, a lot of people now are working from home.
Yeah.
That wasn't in existence before. No. So if you want to stay relevant, you have to find innovative ways to stay relevant. True. And as they say, innovate or die. You better innovate yourself or go out of business.
True. And all these sayings, they are so usable, even in the mentorship programs, because at the end of the day, they are actually sketching your character. They are sketching who you are going to be tomorrow. If at all you adhere to these, what grandma says,
Mm.
these proverbs, however ancient they are very applicable in today's modern times and thinking as well. So when you are in the different vivid mentorship programs with children, with executives, do you use these flashcards also?
All the time. I always give them, it doesn't matter what background, I always give them a card. So when I give it to people who are not familiar, first thing that they would look, they will pick the card up and they will start to look at it and, try to read it. But the main thing is, you cannot read a proverb or think about a proverb without smiling. It doesn't matter what, it always brings something up around smiling. So even though people might be uncomfortable reading it, they are smiling in the process of reading it and having a laugh amongst themselves. So that's the power of it also. It enables people to smile.
That's awesome. And so this particular collection, critically acclaimed, what grandma used to say, is it like available online for people to read, or is it just for your mentorship programs?
No, anyone can buy it. They're on Amazon and they're on my website and they're in shops. So, the great thing is, since they came out in 2004, 16 years, I've sold over 20,000 copies, which is fantastic, in that sense. Going from an idea, not knowing where you're going to sell one box to 20,000, that's an amazing accomplishment.
That is so commendable, Lorlette, that simple things what grandma used to say compiled into this flashcards, using it for your mentorship programs. And this is what walking around a barricade is all about, because this is about innovation between innovation. And I'm like so proud of your work. And yes, my final question to you, Lorlette, I gave my version as to why mentors are important. Why, and you will be the best person to say, why do children need mentors? Why do executives need mentors? And did you have mentors in your life? Because as a Jamaican woman, to have been living in London, working with entrepreneurs, investors, innovators, tracing her life and journey back to Jamaica, one of the first in her clan and community to buy a 250-year-old property and use it to flaunt Caribbean culture. And I'm so waiting to have that cup of tea with you under the roof of that Jamaican home. So my question to you is, who are damn your mentors? Because I'm sure your grandma is one of your mentors. And besides that, I want to know your journey with mentorship. Did you have anyone in your life? And why do you think we need mentors? And do you think having a mentor is a modern concept?
I think, there is a lot of answers in that question. When you come from a rural village where, it's very tight-knit, it's a very small community. And so in order for you to see what's available outside of that community, you need mentors. So my first mentor that I can really remember, as far as I'm concerned, is my grandmother, right? I mean, she's never worked for anyone. She's always been an entrepreneur. And the things that she did enables me, the way she speaks, the way she communicates, her stories, all those things has enabled me to be who I am. My second mentor was a teacher, which I remembered, and I went hunting her down. She's still alive. I went looking for her and I spent a night with her, and she remembered me. That's the key. She taught me Shakespeare at the age of 9. I was reading Shakespeare. I was reading Longfellow at the age of 9. And this was a very, very small village school where, it's a rural school. So you wouldn't be expecting children from that rural part of the world to be actually learning Shakespeare. But she was a visionary, and she was setting us up to understand the importance of education and not just limit yourself to where you actually come from. And over the years, I've met different people who I've read about, never met some of them, but I like their work and I'm inspired by them and just continued. And people like yourselves as well is my mentor because what you're doing makes a huge difference and your network is important. The people who you have in there advocating on your behalf, surrounded by the people, is important. And it doesn't matter who you are or how old you are, there's always somebody that comes to teach you a lesson if you listen and you're aware. So for me, mentorship, sponsorship is all important. It's important. It's not a modern day, it's not an olden day, it's a today situation. Everybody needs somebody to actually say, yes, you can, move on, do that, or come here and just be there. Sometimes it's just a listening ear. Sometimes, you walk in the street and somebody just said, hello, how you doing? And that in itself will set your day up. Sometimes we don't realize just acknowledging someone makes a huge difference.
Awesome. Yes, true. That is so true. And Lorlette, would you want to tell my viewers about your website, if they want to connect and they want to read about you? And because I'm sure you have so much to give and share to the audience that I want you to give your contact details.
Okay, so my website is www.onehandcantclap.co.uk. That's onehandcantclap.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn, Google me, on Facebook, you'll find a lot about me. I'm on every social media.
Yes, definitely. You Google Lorlette and she's all over the social media. And this is the whole idea, viewers, to have this series, Women in Stability in Times of Instability, and especially the focus on global women who show you power, who show you inner strength, just like Lorlette today, who's coming from such a tight community, but she has been phenomenal in drawing her life, in bringing value to lives of so many around her. And look at what she's done with the simple teachings that her grandmother used to teach her, develop into flashcards to teach during her entrepreneurial mentor workshops. And we Indians too have our Dadi Ma ki kahaniyan or Kya Bade Kehte The. We have our own stories, our own proverbs, and I think it's about time that we don't forget. And someone from amongst us also does just like what Lorlette has done and compiles all of them. And I'll have one of my versions to show it to you, Lorlette, that we have LinkedIn version of what grandma used to say. And it's awesome that she put all of this up in this compiled flashcards, not knowing that she'll be able to sell 20,000 boxes already with of simple proverbs which are reaching millions of hearts and mind. So congratulations on that, Lorlette. I think you are doing a commendable job by being modern but yet uplifting your Caribbean values. And today I had an enriching session with you, and I'm very, very proud that you were with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing. And, thank you for having me again. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Lorlette. Thank you. And good day, everyone. And I'll be seeing you all again very soon with another phenomenal woman with her journey, her values to be shared with all of us. Bye bye. Good night.